जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे। गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Nehru University, Honourable Surendra Nath Tripathi, Director General, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. Professor M.P. Singh, Retired Professor of Political Science, University of Delhi and Editor of Indian Journal of Public Administration, UGC Care 1, Journal of SAGE. Major General Dr. G.D. Bakshi, SM, VSM. Dr. Nimidita Roy, Associate Professor, Jagannath University, Bangladesh. Dr. Raymond Kwan Law, Assistant Professor, Department of Political Science and Sociology, North-South University, Bangladesh. Now it's time to formally begin the inaugural session by giving a token of gratitude in form of a gift basket. I would now request Dr. Nandini Basistha, Executive Director, IIHSG, to present the gift to Professor Sanjay K. Bhardwaj, Center for South Asian Studies, JNU. Thank you, ma'am. Now I'd like to Now I would also like to request Mr. Niladri Bhomik, Secretary IIHSG, to present the gift to the Honourable Surendra Nath Tripathi, Sir, Director General, Indian Institute of Public Administration. Thank you, sir. I would also request Bobby Narayan, Senior Fellow, IIHSG, to present the gift to Dr. Nimidita Roy, Associate Professor, Jagannath University, Bangladesh. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Anushila Jana, Research Intern, IIHSG, to present the gift to Dr. Raymond Kwan Son Lau, Assistant Professor, Department Political Science and Sociology, North-South University, Bangladesh.
Now we'll begin with a welcome address. It is an honor to introduce Dr. Nandini Basistha ma'am, the convener of the conference and the executive director, a leader in her field. She brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to guide us. She has been the ICSSR postdoctoral fellow at the Center of Northeast Study and Policy Research. She has published research articles in more than 30 internationally reputed journals. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Anushila and Harshita, honorable dignitaries on dais and all delegates. It is my immense pleasure to welcome you all in 3rd Annual IIHSG International Conference on Security, Identity and Global Governance, India and the World. As you know, after getting presidential role of the G20 on 1st December 2022, India whole year engaged in establishing to uphold the goal of shaping and strengthening global architecture and governance on all major international economic issues with special reference to sustainable development goals. In security and identity issues also, India is taking some path-breaking policies under premiership of Honourable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. For example, I can refer to my postdoctoral study where I have shown how new policy of Modi ji has worked in decreasing conflict situation of Northeast India as well as Kashmir region. In this 2 days learning exercise, we will try to address the issues related to different types of security and identity and how they can resolve by global governance. A special focus will be on the role of India in this matter. IIHSG is really thankful to our honourable guests, Honourable Professor Shireen Akhtar, Vice-Chancellor, University of Chittagong, Bangladesh, Professor Benu Kumar De, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, University of Chittagong, Bangladesh, Honourable Dr. Surendra Nath Tripathi, Director General, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi, India, Professor MP Singh, former Professor of Political Science, University of Delhi, and Editor of Indian Journal of Public Administration, Professor Sanjay K. Bhardwaj, who is Professor at Center for South Asian Studies, School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, Major General Dr. G.D. Bakshi, SM, VSM, retired, Professor Alka Parikh, Director, Center for Field Learning, Ahmedabad, India, Dr. Raymond Lau, Assistant Professor, Department of Political Science, North-South University, Bangladesh, and Dr. Nivedita Roy, Associate Professor, Jagannath University, Bangladesh, for gracing this occasion. We have many dignitaries to grace our sessions as chair, co-chair, resource person, and paper presenters. I am happy to say that total 537 academicians, policy practitioners, and social activists have registered for this international conference from all parts of India as well as other countries like Ethiopia, Nigeria, Tajikistan, Sudan, Algeria, Romania, Kazakhstan, Israel, Philippines, Canada, USA, United Kingdom, and Bangladesh. More than 250 papers will be presented in this conference in 8 technical sessions, which are on security, gender security and sustainable development goals, identity, global governance, etc. We published 50 best papers in a special volume of UGC Care 1 listed journal, Third Concept, and 120 articles we published in 6 books edited by renowned academicians. The main aim of IIHSG is to support more studies on human security. As you know, in the post-pandemic world, non-traditional securities like human security and environmental security are taking pivotal role in the policy framework. Previously, national security was the ideology and thrust of nation-centric international order, while human security was the additional basis of a people-centric world order underpinned by a global civil society. But during pandemic, when all traditional defense mechanisms failed to secure human beings, that time importance of non-traditional securities like human security has started to take attention of nation states. Previously, human security captures the essence of an all-alternative conception of global governance in which civil society plays a leading role. But now, different countries are coming forefront in securing human development as well as achieving sustainable development goals. In identity politics also, human development and human security nexus are becoming tool to combat identity-oriented demands of partial and full autonomy. Both in national and global governance, we can easily underline this paradigm shift. I think after this 2 days academic exercise, we will be able to identify changing dimension of security, identity and global governance and India's role in it. Thank you all for joining. Namaste.
Let us now welcome our chief guest, Honourable Surendra Nath Tripathi, Director General, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. Honourable Surendra Nath Tripathi's visionary leadership and commitment to public service have been truly commendable. His guidance and dedication inspire all those associated with the IIPA. Thank you for your invaluable contributions to fostering excellence in public administration. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Respected colleagues on the dais. Anywhere. Definition of security is also changing. How much secure you are.
Whether we chase security or we chase happiness, the debate is going on. Academic world is split. What should we chase? People have seen that with per capita less income, people are happier. With per capita more income, people are unhappier. You have just seen how a superpower is not satisfied territorially, is attacking a neighbor in the name of culture. Another institution which claims to be ruling a strip of a land, settling the score internationally and attacking another neighbor with the desire to finish the existence itself. Same thing is true in SDG when you take up sustainable development goal, where our enemy is hunger, our enemy is human being itself. If you look at from a telescopic lens and look it from a distance, at times I feel as a researcher, as a student, that who is our enemy is not known. Whether we should fight hunger or we should fight humans first. Finish the human first by spoiling our ecology, by going for unsustainable development process, by highlighting over-consumerism, by investing more on arms and arms sale than on drugs and nutrition, and reinvesting the whole intellectual capital in providing fire cover to these destroyers of universe. Challenge is huge because solutions are equally simplistic. Why I am saying challenges are huge and solutions are simplistic? Because many countries which have highlighted consumerism, who has highlighted that more for more, with more, for less people, they have suffered Occupy Wall Street. They have suffered that their per capita income cannot save them from even invisible disease like COVID. We have seen then that in American hospital, the biggest thing needed was oxygen and list was a charger, electronic charger. Nobody was willing to give his electronic charger to his phone at the time of crisis. How inhuman we have become, COVID was an example. But we haven't learned, and those who don't learn from history, they are condemned to repeat it. जिस कौम को मिटने का एहसास नहीं होता, उस कौम का दुनिया में इतिहास नहीं होता. But this is not a literary theme. We are here on intellectual exercise. What is the way and way out for the world when we want to change? I am again repeating, whether we want to change happiness, which does not require resources, or we want to achieve material happiness, which requires even all the universe is less than satisfactory for anyone's greed. Such workshops and seminars bring us back to thinking table that what is the model that the world has today, which we are pursuing today. I would like to suggest that if we are aiming at alternative view, the Eastern view or the Oriental view of the world, what is that view is? Western view is very clear. We want to pursue liberty, equality, justice for our own people, for our own skin, for our own race, for our own narrow political interest. Bretton Woods institutions, the Washington Consensus, the global scenario has been built to justify that all that they do is right, all that rest of the world does is not right. For the first time, Oriental thinking has come on the table. Be it China's dominance, be it India's emergence, be it Russia's decline. All the three factors have contributed that people are looking at what is the Oriental view today. The Western view have dominated and brought the world where even temperature cannot be controlled. The icebergs are melting as if they are like ice cream cakes. You can't keep the ice cream and enjoy it without eating it. And if you eat it, it is finished. Same thing is true for planet Earth. We don't have planet B for our survival. If we want to have human dignity, prosperity for all on a livable planet, we have to have an alternative view. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud that India has offered such a view to the global world. Those who have watched this G20 conclusion summits, they must have taken note of it, that there is no one world view. The Western view has led us to this level of disaster that people are even afraid of welcoming a stranger. Talking to a stranger requires training. Dealing with compartmentation require a training. Looking at a multidisciplinary require a training. If you read the G20 declaration that Indian presidency offered, there's a global view what India thinks about these. What is our view? What is the alternative Indian view? Because you can become Vishwaguru or a Vishwamitra or a Vishwaguru or world leader of the world only if you have a better view of the world. Capitalism promised that. Socialism promised for a while before it withered away. People say that at age 18, if you're not a communist, you are an idiot. But after 45, you remain a communist, you confirm that you continue to be an idiot. I don't believe in either of ideology. But I do believe that there is one view, there is a Satyameva Jayate is also a view. Truth has no shadows. If truth has no shadow, what is that truth that humanity should pursue and we all should collectively strive for, which does not have contrarian view, who does not need an opposite view, which does not have an opposition for the sake of it. And what is that view that India has proposed to the world? We don't believe that. We are not, people have seen India in a very, very different light. The Secret Search of India, if any one of you have read that book, you will find that Indians were never gainers. We were never achievers. We didn't achieve somebody's territory. We didn't achieve somebody's mind. We didn't achieve somebody's body. We didn't achieve slavery. We never justified it. We had our social fault lines, burned Vyavastha and all those things. We did not give freedom to the women. A lot of wrong things also happened. But we also propounded that just naristha pujante ramante tatra devata. We gave equal freedom, equal adult suffrage on the day one of our Indian Constitution. Many countries have to suffer for a longer time before getting voting right, which is not a very big right. Today, Indian view is coming on the table. We were never achievers. We never achieved anything. Our rishis, munis never achieved. They didn't say that we have solved the problem. We were seekers of the truth. We were perpetually seeking what is the truth. Tattvamasi. Who am I? We never said that I am, I think, therefore I am. The Hegel view. We never said that. We said that I am, whatever is not there, that is I am. Tattvamasi. जो सब कुछ खत्म होने के बाद जो बचता वो मैं हूँ कारण ईश्वरंश हूँ I have a higher purpose of coming to this world. We were seekers of truth. We were seekers of knowledge. And today we have come out with the alternative view of the world also. And that view is, you all are aware, एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत, विकसित भारत, आत्मनिर्भर भारत, गुलामी की दास्तां से मुक्त भारत, कर्तव्य पथ पर चलता हुआ भारत, एक ऐसा भारत, एक India which has a rightful place on the community of nations. We don't want Security Council seat as a gift. If the most populous nation on the world is not on the security table, how Security Council can secure the world? People will laugh at it. We don't want to claim it as a matter of gift. It is our right. But our right does not belong because we are a military superpower. In a knowledge world, it is the knowledge that matters. Does India, does world, does China, does any country have an alternative view of the world, which is compelling, which cannot have contrarian view, which have social acceptance and widely accepted by everyone? And our view is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Our view is one earth, one family, one future. Our view is that we all are interdependent. We are hyper-connected. We can't live without each other. We don't blame brotherhood for taking arms. We don't challenge ideology for perpetuating our way of thinking. We believe that truth has no shadow. Therefore, your truth and my truth is as good and as bad, but there is the side of the truth also. Friends, these are the ideas that we need to deliberate, perpetuate, and perhaps tell to the world that it is the time that India has arrived. यही समय है, सही समय है, भारत का अनमोल समय है. I would thank each one of you for being here, choosing IIP for a day-long, two-day-long deliberation, and I hope and trust that the wisdom, the manthan, the Amrit manthan that will come out of it will help us in perpetuating our theory that there is one more way. What is the Oriental way? What is the Indian way? What is Buddha's way? What is the Sufis' way? What is the common way, which is for shared prosperity, not for few, but common prosperity for all. And that is our alternative view of the world, and we must work on it. We must not hate all that is Indian. सब foreign का माल पसंद है. All that is said by Aristotle is truth. All that is said by Kalidas is bad. All that is said by Shakespeare is the only truth. All that is said by Kalidas, Bhartarya, and all those literature we love to hate them. And in fact, if my kid does not pronounce Jana Gana Mana Dinayak Jai in a British accent, we feel proud that मेरा बच्चा अंग्रेजी में पढ़ता है ना, वो देसी भाषा कैसे बोल सकता है? अरे देश प्रेम is not divided, friends. Nation is not a boundary. Nation is not a capital, political, science, economy. What we say, the state, boundary, territory, population, and government. State is a feeling. We are an emotional state. We are a nation state, and we must have attached high value of emotional intelligence to our alternative view of the world. International conferences are meeting point. I don't consider that they are melting point. All ideas should not be melted to become omelette. They should be allowed to grow like a rainforest. Every idea matters. Every species should survive. Let everybody put to the world that this is their view, and let the contest of ideas be there, then contest of mind and contest of physical concern, that people live in tunnels and they are bombarded from the sky, and they still think that they were right when they killed 140 people or 1,400 people, and now they're playing the victim. I do believe that if you commit crime, face the crime. Justice must go to the doorstep of perpetrators of crime. We have lived too long being a soft state, soft country, and softer population. We must assert the time has come. We must assert with ideas and ideology, not with firepower and suppressive powers. We are a knowledge economy. In knowledge economy, knowledge matters. We need a new tool set. We need a new skill set. But before all of that, we need a new mindset. Mindset of winning the heart, not the body. Mindset of winning the soul, not the body and mind. And we are not mind, we are body, we are a soul. It's not a philosophical concept. This is our view of the world. We are not achievers, we are seekers. We are seekers of knowledge. And that's why in the knowledge economy today, India is the software capital of the world. We did not go to advertise that we have the best company in the world. Half of the global business happens in India. Digitally, we have shaken the world. In G20, our UPI and our digital public infrastructure was a showstopper, if I use the facile language book. People could not believe that a poor country with $2,200 per capita income is going to be digital so soon. Many Pandits have said it could have taken 47 years, half a century, to get to the digitalization of what India is. We are capable, we can deliver, we have shown it, that we are second to none. But हमारी थोड़ी चिंताधारा बदलनी चाहिए कि Asians think that we are inferior. Singapore has shown that there is nothing like inferiority. A city-state can become a powerhouse of ideas. It doesn't require a very big chunk of territory. Otherwise, camel could have been the most intelligent animal, or not the elephant. Or giraffe could have been the highest, most intelligent, not the human being. We are upright thinkers. We know what is right, and we don't have alternative view to suppress somebody else's idea. Friends, deliberate on it. I can only wish you good luck. Thank you for giving me a chance. I have one more engagement, therefore I will be leaving, and I will be deprived of the distilled wisdom of this group of people. But I think Professor M.P. Singh will brief me at later part of this day, whenever it happens, so that we can at least update ourselves what is the current way of thinking in IIHSG, International Conference. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
तो अभी कहाँ तक बोलना है? 4 तक करते हैं। ठीक है, कैसे जाना है, कितना टाइम है? ठीक है, उसके बाद क्या करें? संजय भारद्वाज। Keep taking it. Now we will release the book Security, Identity and Global Hegemony. Editor Professor Aurora Martin, Dr. Honoris Causa Professor, Brusov University, Yerevan, Lector at the Romanian Language Institute, and Dr. Florin Greșu, Lecturer, Hyperion, University of Bucharest, Romania. We request all writers and editors to be on the stage for the release, please.
I am online. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Congratulations for this huge conference. I'm very grateful for being invited to be co-convenor in this conference. There are already about 4 years since I collaborated with Dr. Nandini, and I really admire her capacity to coagulate so many experts, so many researchers, and to be a very positive example for students in promoting international cooperation around fundamental ideas which are governing our life. We are living difficult times when the peace is not taken for granted. In this global...
Excuse me, ma'am. Honourable ma'am. Can you please wait for 5 minutes? We'll call you back again. Okay? Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we will release the book Identity and Global Governance, editor Dr. Bobby Narayan, Senior Fellow. We request all writers and editors to be on the stage, please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, now we will release the book India at G20, Governance and International Organizations. Editor Dr. Mohan Singh Saggu, Associate Professor, Baba Farid Law College, Faridkot. We request them to be on the stage. Now it's time for the book launch of Security and Global Governance. Editor Imran Ahmed Khan, Doctoral Research Scholar, Department of Political Science, University of Kashmir.
Our next book for the release is Narendra Modi and Northeast, Conflict Management Through Development, Security Nexus, which is authored by Dr. Nandini Basistha, Executive Director, IIHSG, New Delhi. It is a postdoctoral thesis from ICSSR.
There's one more book. Which one is it? Role of Judicial Activism. Now we will release the book Role of Judicial Activism. That's it. Okay. Thank you.
Moving on to our keynote address, as esteemed guest, we are truly honored to present an eminent scholar who will grace us with profound wisdom in our keynote address. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Sanjay K. Bhardwaj, a distinguished figure from the Center for South Asian Studies. Sir.
Thank you very much. I was asked to speak from here. It's my great pleasure to be here on a conference organized by Interdisciplinary Institute of Human Security and Governance. The theme of the conference is security, identity, and global governance, where we are looking forward to have India's role as well. It's my honor to be to speak while Professor M.P. Singh is with us on the dais. Thank you very much, sir, being here. He has always been inspiration to all of us, at least to study about the federalism and federal politics in India and globally. So, and we are also, I'm very happy to have
Recording in progress.
Mr. Surendra Nath Tripathi, that I have been in contact with him academically. Number of lectures he delivered in JNU while I was organizing. I'm also thankful to
Recording stopped.
Dr. Nandini Basistha for the invitation for this this conference, and I wish for the
Recording in
success of
progress.
this conference. I'm not going to speak much, though it's a keynote address, but I'm going to speak 10 to 15 minutes as directed by the organizer. The key themes and key debates that I understand in the context of the global debates, or I would say global developments that are taking place, particularly in the context of two, because this is a center for human security, and the theme of the conference is also talking about the global governance and how global governance had been working and doing internationally, globally today. Definitely it's a matter of scrutiny today, because after two very important developments, I would say the COVID-19 has given a new horizon to the international thinking and thoughts, particularly in the context of interstate relations. And while you talk about interstate relations in the sense of the nationalism and ultra-nationalism, populism, and all these debates are arising. So the COVID-19 is one of the context of understanding the global governance, understanding about the security issue and identity issues globally. And second, of course, I would talk about the Ukraine-Russia conflict that is also again giving you a scope to think twice about the global governance, how the international institutions are functioning. There are two debates, in fact, while I'll talk. One is, of course, in the context of the liberalism. That is the liberalism in crisis, or I would say that more specifically the neoliberalism that had started in 1980s with Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, was inspired from Hayek, Nozick, Friedman, all these thinkers. They were instrumental in inspiring Margaret Thatcher, that had been instrumental to convince Ronald Reagan about the neoliberal ideologies. And in this neoliberalism, the state has started thinking about the free and open market. The free and open market, and the institutions like globalization, like WTO, they have become the tools of spreading and thinking about the global governance, or thinking about the or becoming a tool to advance the neoliberal thinking, neoliberal ideology in the present context. And the institutions, particularly because neoliberalism also talks about the cooperation, and cooperations by the international institutions, what Mr. Surendra Nath Tripathi was also talking about, the one earth, one life, or what I would say that Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, or global village that we have been thinking. The neoliberalism was fitting much to bring the world together because of and that globalization, the forces of globalization is trying to make a borderless society, a seamless society that you can interact better. So this is one thing that had been questioned in the present context after COVID-19, and I would say the Ukraine-Russia conflict. That while you talk about the COVID-19 and that states had started thinking about the or advancing about the protectionism in the state itself, in the people itself, and the state has started fortifying their borders. That border has been closed. That the forces, what it had been globalizing world, has started thinking about the deglobalizations, particularly the Americans and the Western worlds. They have, some of the organizations, they have come out and started sloganing that we need to deglobalize because of the globalization forces. We are suffering COVID-19 or one virus, and that is one thing. And economically also we could not benefit as the Chinese and had been benefiting for this. So they started thinking, questioning themselves about the institutions of globalization, number one. Number two, the institutions, international institutions like WHO had also been questioned further because of their role, and people again started questioning about that state has to take care of their people. State has to take care of their society, and state, if you want to secure your society, if you want to secure your people, you have to make your medicine yourself to protect your people. So what the world had been moving towards, that in fact the world had started thinking about the self-help system, that you have to protect your people, you have to fortify your border, and you will not have that. Everything was closed. Few days back, I was in Japan, and I was very impressed with the presentation made by our SDG and JICA's role. And she was thinking that, Japan is 40% self-reliant on food. And when COVID-19 started, we started thinking that we have only 40% supply of the foods to the people. Where we will get it? If this will prolong, if this would go. So they have started thinking that if this kind of things had started, so you have to protect, you have to feed your people yourself. And that had happened. Just not about the state, within the provinces also, like Professor MP Singh knows better about the federal politics, that Rajasthan closed the border for Haryana closed the border for Uttar Pradesh, and the migration, informal labor and all that. So the first debate has started that the neoliberalism had been questioned in the present context. Number two, while I'll say in the Ukraine-Russia war, what happened? The state has to protect again your people by yourself. Where is the international institutions like UN Security Council? They could not come. Who had come to support and protect the people in Ukraine or where? It is NATO. That is it doesn't fall in the neoliberal construct. It falls in the neo-realist construct. So realism, that you talk about the balance of power, you talk about the security issues and military alliances. So this has been further questioned about the another institutions that are UN, and UN had lost its relevance in the sense of, and what this was also a instrument of neoliberalism. Second, that if your citizens are hostages in Ukraine or anywhere, state, it is not Red Cross that is helping you to bring them out. Your country has to make the special operations. That India has to bring the Indian citizens from the Ukraine. It was no international institutions was. So my first submission is that the neoliberalism had come in the crisis, and the world had started moving towards the self-help system, number one, and that second is the protectionist regime. And in this protectionist regime, the state had started thinking their own security. Security by the external aggression means that you have started thinking about the arms building. And the arms market has flourished in Europe, in Eurasia, and all these regions that see the production level in the last 2 years. You can see 23% growth in Europe, 30% in Russia, and all that. So, and the state who had been thinking about the pioneer of the freedom from want, pioneer of the human security, or they had started thinking about their defense budgets, like Japan. You see that Japan has increased their defense budget. Korea has increased their defense budget. What Belgium was thinking about that no nuclear proliferation or no nuclearization in the world, that Belgium had rethink its policy. My point is there that the neoliberalism is overloaded by the neo-realistic constructs. And in this neo-realistic construct, the two tools had emerged. One is self-help system and another is the protectionism. And in this protectionist regime, that you are taking care of your people again and you are trying to deconnect. And the forces who had been instrumental in globalization started thinking about the deglobalization. This is one debate is going on. It's a good topic for the research as well. Can be understood. Second is, of course, there is a debate about the balance of power and balance of threat. Balance of power and balance of threat, again, is the two concepts that is what is happening. The new strategies are arising globally. The Indo-Pacific strategies, popularly. And in this Indo-Pacific strategies, there are two forces are working. One is talking about the maintaining status quo globally, and another is working to change the status quo, the global power. And in this, the two forces are working, balance of threat and balance of power. While the Russians are fighting to balance the threat. Threat means that let the threat remain with the Ukrainian border, not with the Russian border. And the Americans are thinking, while Russians and the Chinese had started thinking about their revisionist policies. Policies in the sense that they have started, like the Russians had started thinking about the Slavic region, that at least I should hold influence and control over the Slavic region so that the Europeans and the Americans with NATO will not come. So they are trying to balance the threat beyond that, and they are starting moving towards the balance of power. And in this balance of power, all the rogue states, I would say illiberal democracies, are aligned together against the liberal democracies. I would say, see, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and whosoever can join, like Pakistan and all that. They are thinking again. So there is another debates about the balance of threat and balance of power. And in this balance of threat and balance of power, what is the state is aligning and realigning themselves. Where India is standing again in this alignment and realignment, because Quad is again debated in the sense that what sense you want to align with the global powers. If you want to contain China in this present context, present debates, is it a military alliance Quad, or it is a semi-military, or you can say we are consciously moving towards the diplomacy. Second debate is had been floating. We can discuss, we can do the research on these issues. The third debate is emerging globally, is about the peace camp, between the peace camp and between the justice camp. Why do you talk about in the present context of Hamas and Palestine context, and Jordan has come out in the UN proposals that let's have ceasefire. Let's have ceasefire. They are the peace camp. Let's have ceasefire in Ukraine. That's a peace camp that you want to maintain status quo at present context. That had happened in case of India-China border also. We talk about the peace, ceasefire, that we will not do anything, let's maintain status quo. The another group is strongly working and asserting is that the justice camp. Where is the justice if you talk about the peace? Where is the justice? Because the Palestinians are talking, we are asking about the justice. What justice? And that now Israelis are asking, we have been victim of the terrorism and we are looking for the justice. So in the justice, what is happening? That violence is exaggerating. In this conflict of peace camp and the justice camp, that justice really had not been delivered. In case of Ukraine, if you will say, let's have ceasefire, what the Ukraine will say, what about the 3 regions like Donbass and this, eastern Donbass region particularly. What the 3 provinces had been taken by Russia, there is no justice had been delivered. You are talking about ceasefire. And then you will say, you talk about the 2 nations in the Palestine and Israel. Where is that the justice has been delivered? We lost our land. There is no 2 states. And the one state is suppressing and increasing influence globally, and justice has not been delivered. This can be applied in case of Pakistan occupied Kashmir. The Pakistan had occupied our part of Kashmir, and we have talked that let's have ceasefire, let's have peace on the border. What about the areas, territories has been occupied by the Kashmir? Justice has not been delivered until that Pakistan occupied Kashmir comes to Indian side. The justice will be delivered. So, where the peace will restore, number 1. And in this entire debate, what is happening? Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi talks, let's have human-centric developmental approach. So, where the human-centric development, human-centric approach would go? Because none of them we are thinking about the human developmental context. We are basically applying the market-based methods to resolve the conflicts and to settle our interest, not developmental approach where the humans developmental issues can be concerned. So what are the developmental issues? Global commons, the climate change, global goods like food security, medicine, health security, education, poverty, women development. These are the global goods and the global commons that comes like climate change and environmental security and all that had come on the back seat in the present context, present debate. This is one thing that I wanted to bring in the global governance. Where is the global governance? While the state is taking everything and state is making everything, so where is the global governance while you talk about the institutionalism and international cooperation? Second thing that I wanted to bring is again identity issues. What is happening in the context of identity issues today? Where the world is moving? What is Putin? What is Xi Jinping? What is Erdogan? They are all ultra-nationalistic, populist. They are doing all populist, ultra-nationalistic politics. And in this ultra-nationalist, what is happening? Even the Americans are also trapped in this debate. While they talk about American first, what are the other people who have been migrated to being in America? So identity, again, in the identity, there is 2 things are working together in this. There is crisis of success. That you want to become success, in a sense that you take an inclusive identity, you bring all the people together, let the Americans, now Americans is not just for the Americans, there are Asians, and the Lloyd has been treated the way in the COVID-19, again there is a question mark about the American inclusive and secularist approach, and what the Americans are working today, they are working for the crisis of failure. They have the crisis of failure that if we will have open space, open market, developmental approach, the American first cause will be that Americans will not have that much of control on the resources. So again, there is a debate in the identity issues that you are making your own identity. Either you are taking shelters of the primordial identities of religion or race or skin or whatever the nationalistic constructs you are making, and you are trapped again in the crisis of failure and in the crisis of success. And nobody is talking about the crisis of success that brings you all together and talks about the development. What the G20 talking about, the one earth, one family and one life. It is not. The entire debates in, everywhere in Europe and America and Turkey and everywhere you talk about when you talk about American first and European first and what about the other people, and again is a debate. And the entire world politics is trapped into 4 major commotions, I would say. Inclusive and exclusive nationalism. I'll not go in detail. Second, majority-minority interface. Everywhere you go to Sri Lanka, you go to Nepal, you go to Bangladesh, you go to Pakistan, majority-minority interface is dominant phenomena. In Sri Lankan politics, Buddhist, Sinhala, majority conflicts suppressing their identity over the minority communities on Tamils in Sri Lanka. And what is in Bangladesh, that again, Nepal also, Madhesi, again, the majority-minority discourse is dominating the politics of all the nations. Third is, of course, that in this construct, identity construct, the relations within the state has developed as subordinate and subordinate. That one community has become subordinate, another community has become subordinate. And you just investigate any country, take it, and you will just find it, yes. In India also you will see this characteristic in some of that. One community, one caste, one people, they are Punjabi Muhajir dominating over the Baluch, Sindhi and all that. One example I have given. Subordinate, subordinate relations. And that the conflicts urban-rural, urban-tribal or urban-urban has started making more conflicts, more crises within the society. And finally it is taking and moving and pushing the states towards the provincial autonomy and statehood. Now started thinking about the new independent states in this. This is again, in the context of identity that happened. And in case of South Asia, you apply. If you emphasize about the cultural identity, this brings together, because South Asia has one culture. And you emphasized your religious identity, then distance yourself. Because religion, then Pakistan is a Muslim Pakistan. And India, for them, is a Hindu India. And Bangladesh is again a Muslim Bangladesh. Distance from each other. And that has further distancing, creating conflicts within the society. And because of this construct, because of this functional construct, the other factors like the structural factors, we are a large regional power and there are small powers, and the issues, the problems like terrorism. The smaller states, what they are doing? They can't contest, they can't fight India, because India is a regional power, India is a military power, India is an economic power. So how you can destabilize India? You take the shelter of the tools of the terrorism. And what the Pakistan had been doing. On the name of identity, you are creating insecurity to other states. The entire terrorism in Pakistan, supported terrorism is inspired, supported by the identity, that is, they link it with the Islam. And to substantiate that identity, you are injecting, you are instrumentalizing, you are strengthening fundamentalism, radicalizations. At different layers, you are at the macro levels, you are symbolizing the national and national symbols and the politics. At the meso level, you are misinterpreting the religious text. And at the micro level, you are authenticating that this Islam is not the true Islam, because this Islam is Hanafi and this is syncretic Islam. The true Islam is what Makkah, Medina, Wahhabi is thinking. Conflicting, creating within the Islams of the subcontinent and Islams in Makkah and Medina. And then further exaggerating problems of the fundamentalism has substantiated increasing terrorism. What? Taliban. I'm not going in detail. You can think about that. In Taliban, Tehrik-e-Taliban, and there are other Lashkar-e-Taiba and all that. That is what how they are doing, taking shelter of. And this has been further instrumentalized by the insurgency problems, separatist problems in this subcontinent. So, and because of this conflicting identity issues and the state, the extra regional powers are filling the gap. Okay, what the Chinese are doing with the Pakistani and on the issue of terrorism. For them, what is that? Maqsood, the UN terrorist list. What? Masood Azhar is not terrorist. The extra regional powers are making their presence and balancing. Again, they are also taking the help of the identity and creating insecurity in this region. South Asia if I talk. So, and talking about pan-Islamism, taking supports here and there, these are the fundamental issues that actually pushing back the issues of human security and global governance and what is today dominating the politics of ultra-nationalism, fundamentalism, and populism that are further used for the political gains, political interest, and regime security. So I think being an academician, we have to take a very objective thinking about these emerging issues, these emerging threats, where the developmental approach, human security issues, human-centric approach should not be ignored by the power-monger states, hegemonic states, regionally and globally. So thank you very much for giving this time, this evening. Thank you very much.
Now, we heartily welcome our Honourable Vice-Chancellor of our partner university, University of Chittagong, to share a few words, Professor Dr. Shireen Akhtar. She is a distinguished Bangladeshi academic who holds the prestigious position of the first female Vice-Chancellor of the University of Chittagong. Her leadership marks a significant milestone in the university's history. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, and honorable guests, a very good morning to you all. It is with great pleasure and a sense of privilege that I welcome you to the third annual IIHSG International Conference. This platform serves as a beacon of intellectual exchange and collaboration in the realm of human security and governance. This conference, organized by the Interdisciplinary Institute of Human Security and Governance, Delhi, India, IIHSG, in collaboration with the Department of International Relations, University of Chittagong, Bangladesh, and the Center for Field Learning, Ahmedabad, India, bring together some of the finest minds in academia and beyond to explore the theme security, identity, and global governance, India and the world. At the outset, let me express my appreciation for the efforts of the organizing committee and all those involved in bringing together some of the brightest minds from diverse fields to deliberate on issues that are not only partition to our religion, but also resonate globally. This collaborative effort exemplifies the spirit of academia, cooperation, and the pursuit of knowledge and transcends borders. The theme of the conference, Security, Identity, and Global Governance, India and the World, is both timely and together provoking in an era marked by unprecedented interconnectedness, the dynamic of security and governance and undergoing rapid transformation. As we confront challenges that transcends national boundaries, it becomes imperative for scholars, policymakers, and citizens alike to engage in a collective dialogue that transcends geographical and disciplinary confines. As we gather to deliberate on the multifaceted intersections of society, security, identity, and global governance, we are reminded of the interconnectedness of our world. The challenges we face today, be they in the realms of cyber security, socio-political identity, or the involving landscape of global governance demands thoughtful analysis, innovative solution, and most importantly, collaborate action. This conference provides a unique opportunity for scholars, policymakers, and practitioners to engage in magnificent discussions that transcend disciplinary and geographical boundaries. Our ability of address the complex issues at the heart of this conference hinges on our collective commitment of understanding, empathy, and a pursuit of knowledge. As we embark on this intellectual journey, let us embrace the diversity of perspectives and experience represented in this room. It is through open dialogue and the exchange of ideas that we can unravel the intricate tapestry of challenges before us, and in doing so contribute to the development of a more secure and equitable global order. Finally, I extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor Dr. Sujit Kumar Dutt for his outstanding leadership and commend all those involved in the organization of this conference. I look forward to the enlightening discussions and collaboration that we undoubtedly emerge from the third annual IIHSG International Conference. Thank you, and may our collective endeavors lead us to new insights and meaningful collaboration to the fields of human security and governance. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for gracing us with your wisdom and insights. Continuing with the momentum, we have another esteemed speaker. Please join me in welcoming Professor Benu Kumar De, the esteemed Pro-Vice-Chancellor of the University of Chittagong, Bangladesh. Professor De's wealth of academic experience and leadership adds significant depth to our conference. We are honored to have him to share his insights with us, contributing to the richness of our discussions. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Moderator. All honorable professors, chairperson, distinguished guests, esteemed participants, each and everyone present here today, my warm greetings to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute privilege for me as a special guest to stand in front of all these dignified gathering from diverse backgrounds as we inaugurate the third annual international conference themed security, identity, and global governance, India and the world, organized by the International Institute of Human Security and Governance, Delhi, India, IIHSG, in the collaboration with the Department of International Relations, the University of Chittagong, Bangladesh, and the Center for Field Learning, Ahmedabad, India. We know, and all of you know, that we are living in a global village. It is our duty to protect this global village known as Earth for our peaceful life and protect all biodiversity and all living beings peacefully. So, we know the conference is a very time demanding, and conference means exchange of knowledge, generation of intellectual curiosity and philosophical ideas among scholars, experts, and students. I hope all the respected speakers, panelists, and presenters here will present their speech and papers will play a significant role in responding to the emerging national and global challenges. I believe that the overall discussions, comprehensive analysis, and key research findings of the papers and researchful evaluations of the eminent panelists will enhance the academic contribution to the field of security, identity, and global governance in changing the global village where we live in. As we navigate, the complexities of an ever-changing world, it is through collaborative efforts and diverse perspectives that we can hope to gain deeper insight and develop sustainable solutions. In the Indian context, a nation marked by diversity, rich history, and rising global profile, the interplay of these elements takes on a unique significance. The outcome of the conference will not only broaden our horizons, but also strengthen the bonds of our global academic community. Thus, this momentous occasion represents not only a significant milestone for our university, but also a very important special step forward in advancing knowledge of our faculty members and students. As a result, we can enrich our syllabus, curriculum, and extracurriculum activities for our students. I feel honored as a special guest of this prestigious conference. I encourage all participants to seize this opportunity to learn, to share your expertise, and to collaborate. The knowledge and the insight gained here will not only enrich our own understanding, but will also contribute to the development of skills, wisdom, innovative creativity, ethics, and moral values of our new generation, as well as we can collectively contribute to the betterment of our societies and the world at large. As we know, that university is considered as an institution of the highest academic excellence. Alongside the academic classes, examinations, and other routine tasks, organizing academic events like conference, seminars, symposiums, mooting, and debate program, other extracurricular activities are substantially integral to preserve the academic excellence. In this regards, the Department of International Relations of Chittagong University has taken appropriate initiative to uphold the spirit of the university. Therefore, in conclusion, I would like to praise the organizing committee for taking all steps to make this program successful one. I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all those from home and abroad who have contributed their time, effort, expertise to make this event possible, especially Professor Dr. Sujit Kumar Dotto, Chairman, Department of International Relations, University of Chittagong, Bangladesh, for his outstanding leadership. At last, I want to express my deepest regards to the father of my nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and all my dears. Thanking all of you again, and may this conference be resounding success. Joy Bangla. May Bangladesh and India live forever.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite our inaugural addressee, the co-convenor of the conference, Professor Aurora Martin. Dr. Martin, a distinguished professor of Brusov University, is a renowned gender expert and vice president at the International Institute for Human Security. She recently received a Dr. Honoris Causa at Rai University and serves as G100 Global Chair for Intercultural Dialogue. Founder of the Mobile Museum of Modern Slavery in the EU, she has authored 8 impactful books showcasing her commitment to human rights and gender equality. Ma'am will be joining us online. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm very grateful for being invited to be convener in this conference. There are several years since I'm collaborating with Dr. Nandini and Nandini Basistha, and I really admire her capacity to coagulate so many experts, so many researchers, policymakers, and to determinate researchers and scholars and students to be part of not only of the conference, but to be at the table of decisions in India and not only. We are living difficult times. We are living times when the peace is not taken for granted. Unfortunately, we are obliged to change the approach to balance of threats and balance of powers. If we remember, there are some threatening figures. During the First World War, 90% of victims were soldiers and 10% civilians. During the Second World War, it was a balance, around 50% victims of soldiers, 50% of victims civilians. After 90s, with the war in Yugoslavia, this percentage was dramatically shifting. 10% of victims were soldiers and 90% of victims were civilians. This is happening today if we look around at the conflict developing around the world, especially in Palestine, in Israeli. And in this global framework, I think India has an important word to say. And that's why this conference is very important to have a perspective, a local perspective to the changing paradigm of conflict. About the book we are launching today, Security, Identity, and Global Hegemony. This book presents an overview of the institutional security architecture, exploring some of the key contemporary challenges to global security, but also specific issues generating insecurity in different geopolitical areas. In geopolitical literature, the hegemony refers to domination or on leadership, particularly in relations between states. But after Antonio Gramsci's theory, the Italian researcher Antonio Gramsci, the term refers to features of class relations to specifying a particular relationship between domination and leadership. The effects influence not only the individual, but also the ethnic or national security and identity. There are 20 articles in the book. The 20 authors, researchers, and professors in various academic centers in the world include theoretical approach from both traditional and critical standpoints and explain fundamental concepts underpinning contemporary focal topics. I will stop here and I will give you the pleasure to discover the book, to discover the researchers' point of view. And I wish you a good continuation of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, friends and colleagues. I welcome you to the third edition of the International Conference of IIHSG. I have the good fortune of being involved with these conferences since their inception, and I've seen that they have grown both in size and coverage. They have been able to now attract very reputed organizations and very good paper presenters like you all. And I sincerely would like to congratulate Dr. Nandini Basistha for being able to organize these conferences almost single-handedly and yet making them such a resounding success. So with that, I would like to start my own talk for today, which is basically going to be talking about the challenges that we are facing as human beings. Challenges of deteriorating air quality and challenges of reducing water availability. The most basic requirements for existence of any life form on earth is air and water. But air is getting polluted more in urban areas than in rural, and per capita water availability is reducing in both urban and rural areas, and especially the poor have to bear the brunt of this reducing water availability. So what can we do in such circumstances? I'm going to be talking about two methods which are kind of well known, but not that much practiced. And I just want it to be brought to your attention so that they gain more currency and more people start practicing them. One way to reduce air pollution is to grow more trees. And in urban areas, you can convert small pieces of lands into Miyawaki forests. What are Miyawaki forests? Miyawaki forests are the forests where the trees are planted close to each other. So in 1 square meter, you have almost 3 trees. And all these trees are of different species. Usually man-made forests are monoculture or at the most 5 to 6 species. In Miyawaki forests, you have almost 80 to 90 species. So these are the main characteristics of the Miyawaki forest. What would be needed to grow a Miyawaki forest in an urban area? A strip of land. The larger it is, the more effect, of course, and more economical also. A reliable water source, which is more difficult to come by in rural areas. But in urban areas, you usually have the municipalities, so you do have a reliable water source. Saplings of many varieties, as I told you, many varieties should be at least 80 to 90 varieties, and most of them, if possible, should be local varieties. Good soil. Now, the land that you take in urban areas are not always going to be good soil. So you will have to import soil, or you will have to do something with the soil to make it more productive. Organic inputs like cocoa pit, fertilizers, pesticides like cow urine, neem extract, these also would be needed to be mixed with the soil to prepare it for growing a forest. I want you to understand that the cost of Miyawaki forest is very high. It is about 40 lakhs per acre of forest that you grow. And typically, such forests are grown with the funds which are donated by the corporate sector or the government grants. The benefits of Miyawaki forests have been noticed to be, first, of course, rich biodiversity, because that is the definition of Miyawaki forest. And because of that, the soil gets enriched because there are many varieties of trees and they all affect the soil in a different manner. It attracts a wide variety of fauna because different birds make their nests in different types of trees. Different animals eat leaves of different types of trees. So all these varieties get attracted when you have so many species of a tree, like a natural forest. It retains a large amount of water because the trees are grown very close to each other. So they hold the water more strongly. And Miyawaki forest can be grown in a small piece of land like a school compound or a corporate office compound also. So that is something which makes it attractive as an urban forest. The urban forests have been found to be, of course, increasing the oxygen levels, but they also act as noise and dust barriers. So all this particulate matter that is there in the air are basically stopped by these trees, and so a respiratory system gets some kind of a relief. It, of course, because there are so many trees, you know that there would be shade and the temperature would be lower, almost lower by 3 to 4 degrees, and it adds humidity in the air. So Miyawaki forests are very beneficial for an urban area, and they can have tremendous impact as far as air quality is concerned. Now, I just wanted to bring your attention to one more thing, that if you see the local or the modern way in which the gardens are being made, or in which the residential colonies or corporate houses are decorating their landscapes, you would find that they all are typically using small trees. Trees which either have very less canopy or trees which are very small in height. Now, I just want you to remember that these trees cannot help in reducing the temperature because they have such little canopy. And their capacity to retain water is also low because they are very small in height. They do help in generating oxygen, of course, but the oxygen which is lesser quantity than a large, huge trees like say banyan or rain tree. So large trees, of course, are a far better option if possible. Grass and bushes, in case you did not know, also generate a lot of oxygen, but they do not have other benefits of the trees like shade, reduced temperature, increased humidity, the noise barrier, the barriers which act as catching the particulate matter. They cannot do any of those. So if possible, grow large trees. That is the best option. If not, then small trees. If not, then grass and bushes. But try greening the areas around you so that your air quality improves. The second problem that we are going to be dealing with is about water insecurity. And the solution that I'm going to talk about is something which is more relevant for rural areas. And it is about building watersheds. Watersheds are basically where the rainwater is flowing. I mean, depending on the slope of the soil, the structures are determined as to what can be built to conserve water. So in a hilly area, you can have this kind of terraces, contours, which are built so that the water is retained at every step and soil erosion also can be stopped. So you can actually have agriculture happening. If water is going down in form of a stream, then you can have this kind of loose boulder structures, and they would conserve water at each step and make it grow inside the ground. Micro catchments, and I wanted to say that this did not be only in a hilly region, even in a flat region where you have slight slopes and incline, the water has the tendency to flow to the lowest point. So in all those places, you can make such structures. Micro catchment is if you notice that there is a slope, then either you do that, but if you know that there is a single point where a lot of water accumulates, you actually make a storage tank over there. And then your water is stored over there and conserved over there. There are other methods also of watersheds. I'm not going into details of it, but this is just to give you an idea that there are technologies existing which conserve water like this. I have been studying the watersheds and their effects in different villages of Maharashtra and Gujarat. And what I found in Marathwada was that villages that were chronically tanker dependent, in the sense that almost for 3 to 4 months in a year, for sure, they would have to get in water tanker to get water because their water would run out. Such villages started having water in their wells and hand pumps after the watershed was built. And to the extent that even in the drought year, when in the surrounding regions there was no water, these villages used to have enough water for drinking and household purposes. So that is the effect of watershed. So watersheds basically can be very effective in enhancing water table, in recharging aquifers, enabling hand pumps. So you don't even have to go down to have bore wells and things like that. Hand pumps themselves would be able to get the water outside, and enhancing agricultural incomes because the water tables have increased. And because of that, we found that reverse migration has started taking place in these regions, which were considered as dry and unproductive regions. So watersheds have been amazing story. The only thing is that they need maintenance. They have to be maintained every second or third year at least. When you talk about watersheds, you cannot not talk about Mr. Rajendra Singh, who has made this concept not only popular, but all over India, so many people have followed his technique and built structures that conserve water. The most important structure that Mr. Rajendra Singh has been building and advocating are the johads. So johads are basically it's a traditional name for a check dam. And I showed you the check dam. So it either stops the water and you have a pond which becomes there in the soil, or it just seeps inside the ground. So they have built some 3,000 johads in Alwar. They have basically revived it. They were there because this is a traditional method of India, traditional method of water conservation. So they have revived 3,000 johads in Alwar in Rajasthan. And the Center for Science and Environment report says that because of this, the groundwater level has increased by 6 meters, which is amazing. And forest cover has increased by 33% in Alwar. Tarun Bharat Sangh, which is the NGO of Mr. Rajendra Singh, has made more than 4,500 johads by now. And because of their efforts, and this is something which is almost a miracle, 5 dry rivers started flowing again. I mean, the kind of efforts that they put in, they made a river flow once again. And that is almost like a miracle. So Mr. Rajendra Singh also has been doing a lot. But as I told you, we need many more such structures. And we need to use all the available technologies. May it be traditional, may it be modern, to conserve the water. Because if water runs out, none of us will be alive. And with that, I would like to come to the conclusion of my talk. I thank you very much. And I hope that the conference goes very well. And I wish all the best to all the people who are going to be presenting their papers and their findings. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I made you co-host. Yeah. So you can start your speech.
Great. Thank you. Warm welcome to everyone. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to IIHSG for the opportunity to take part in this distinguished conference as we come together to share ideas, insights, and innovations. May the spirit of Diwali inspire us to illuminate a new path and foster mutual understanding. And nowadays, it's difficult to imagine geopolitical shifts now without India. Its influence is rising in East, Southeast Asia, as well as in the South Pacific. And India's ability to promote a balanced foreign policy, which avoid fatal distortions and contributes to regional stability, deserves special attention. And due to its growing economic potential, technological progress, and the unique foreign policy strategy, India has become one of the most major poles of power in the world. And it seems necessary to analyze its growing role, including through the prism of its expected becoming as a permanent member of the UN Security Council. And India has been claiming a permanent seat on the Security Council for years, and it's necessary both for the country itself, because it reflects its status as a major power, and for the world order. The leader of the South Asia and the Indian Ocean, unfortunately, is not represented in the UN Security Council on a permanent basis, which underlines the need to change the mechanism of the emerging world order. And however, there is a paradox. On the one hand, India's participation in the UN Security Council fully corresponds to the interests of Asia. And at the same time, some countries in the region are clearly not interested in assigning a new status to the country. Much has already said about China, but here I would like to focus on Japan. As we know, the country aspired to take a higher place in the world arena, even aiming at the intelligence alliance, Five Eyes. And Japan is actually India's main competitor among the countries of the region for a permanent member of the UN Security Council. but India has a number of advantages that will allow us to to surpass its opponent. For example, economic and technological potential plays an important role here. But in the new world order, the ability to make sovereign decisions is also necessary. And India is an actor that really has a great diplomatic skill. And so far, it has managed to avoid a serious imbalance in its policy. And the place in the UN Security Council also depends on New Delhi's rising influence in the most promising regions. And if you talk about Eurasia, the important role of SCO immediately comes to mind. India is chairing the organization in 2023, which coincides with its G20 leadership role. And in fact, all this has become a good test for India's ambitions to stand at the forefront of the global south. And BRICS also gives a scale to Indian foreign policy, but at this conference, I would like to take the opportunity to promote another stable format for its interaction with the region. It's the Russia, India, China, ASEAN Quartet. The role of Southeast Asia increased significantly. ASEAN is called an oasis of stability because the association managed to avoid serious turbulence and at the same time play one of the central roles in the region. And India already has the format of cooperation of the RIC, Russia, India, China, and the inclusion of ASEAN here will make us it stronger and meet the realities of the emerging of new world order. And it's difficult to find combinations in the region that would sound more stable in political and economical terms. And why is it interesting? All actors have enough determination to make independent decisions. The quartet mechanism may seem somewhat cumbersome at the first glance, but it actually looks more promising than remaining in the situation where all regional issues will be resolved on the basis of consensus, approved only the interests one hegemon. It's but not in the interests of the entire Indo-Pacific. In fact, this is a new word, for example, but less idealized and more responsive to the needs of the region. And very important detail should be pointed out here. Russia builds ties, cooperation with India and China selflessly and on the basis of mutual respect. And this remains one of the few countries that tried to establish a dialogue between the two countries during the aggravation of their relations, while others pushed the two poles of power with their foreheads. In addition, Moscow expressed support to India's permanent membership in the UN Security Council. And also Africa, if we will talk about Africa, it's a new frontier of economic growth. At the same time, the countries of the continent demonstrate a great interest in building a new world order, and where the interests of global south will be fairly considered. But let's be honest, the African countries suffer from the pressure from the former colonial empires and trying to balancing in the current situation. To give an impetus to development, they need to support of the leading world powers with a new perspective on the situation. And this gives also the scope for strengthening cooperation in the region. And a similar situation is observed in Pacific Island countries. Of course, the level of their dependence on the larger powers is much higher than the African ones. And all of them are still chained to the zone of influence of the United States, Australia, New Zealand, due to geographical factors. And however, India is perceived as a natural actor NATO actor both for African countries and Pacific Islands. It's a pole of power, it's economic giant, it's a source of technologies, but it's not part of the conflict. It's very important, and this attracts, of course, more attention to New Delhi. And India diplomatic prowess in maintaining balance, regional balance is admirable. By navigating complex regional dynamics, contributing to international organization and follow balanced foreign policy, India demonstrates its ability to shape global perceptions and promote stability. And all these qualities are important in a potential permanent member of the UN Security Council. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. I will be pleased to answer all your questions and keep in touch you after the conference. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Atrium, for wonderful presentation.
Now, moving on to a special address, I would like to request Renuka Shamnarayan Ma'am, Research Assistant at IIHSG, to present the gift to Professor MP Singh, retired Professor of Political Science, University of Delhi, and Editor of Indian Journal of Public Administration. Let's welcome Professor MP Singh, Professor of Political Science, University of Delhi. Dr. MP Singh is a former professor at the University of Delhi and holds a PhD from the University of Alberta. Presently, a National Fellow at IIAS Shimla and an Honorary Senior Fellow at the Center for Multilevel Federalism, he is known for his expertise in Indian and comparative politics. As a prolific author, his works span prestigious publishers like Routledge and Pearson. Dr. Singh's current focus during a 2-year national fellowship at IIAS revolves around Indian federalism and in a comparative perspective.
The event, I have not.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. We invite award winners to come to the dais to take their memento. Rupa Paul, Assistant Professor, GIS College of Engineering, Kalyani. Swati Pal, Assistant Professor, GIS College of Engineering, Kalyani. Subhajit Basu Chaudhary. Sure. Thank you. Subhajit Basu Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, GIS College, Engineering, Kalyani. Dr. Amrita Banerjee. Start. Okay. Dr. Amrita Banerjee, Assistant Professor, Bidhan Chandra College, Asansol. Namrata Tomar, Research Scholar, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar University. Navcharan Singh Sidhu, Senior Research Fellow, Guru Nanak Dev University. Neha Power Singh, Research Scholar. Of Human Security and Governance. Rejita, Research Scholar, Department of Political Science, Karyavatam Campus. Renuka Sham Narayan, Akib Abid Mullah, Research Assistant. Ayush Kumar Shukla, Research Scholar, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar University. Amit Krishna, Research Scholar, Department of History, Maharaja Agrasen Himalayan Garhwal University. Dr. Lakshmi Dikshit, Assistant Professor, Maharaja Agrasen Himalayan Garhwal University.
Moving on, we have our next speaker, Dr. Nivedita Roy, an esteemed associate professor at Jagannath University, Bangladesh. She brings her wealth of expertise with distinguished academic background and notable contributions. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello. Okay. I need. Is it open? Okay. Distinguished guests, learned audience, and the organizers, very good morning. I feel honored to present myself here, and I am thankful for giving me this opportunity to Dr. Nandini Basistha ma'am, Dr. Shujit Datta, and the organizers. I want to present here a scenario of Bangladesh in the context of globalization. So, my paper is entitled Analyzing Identity Crisis of Bangladesh in the Context of Global Governance. Global governance is a multi-dimensional confusion. Nationalists politically involve themselves in global decisions. In the context of Bangladesh, various criticism can be seen on the question of whether the impact of global governance creates an identity crisis in the question of independent sovereignty. When there is a conflict between the ideology of the nation-state and the ideology of global governance, it is necessary to analyze this context. In the evolution of globalization, a normative sense of global institution is expanding from liberalism to neoliberalism. Various institutions influence this power of the state. The idea of global governance to unify nation-states in the same framework has gained popularity. So, the research questions of this paper are: what are the impact of global governance on identity crisis of Bangladesh, and how does neoliberalism affect the sovereignty of Bangladesh? To cover the research questions, there are some objectives. One, to examine the status of the state autonomy in the age of globalization. Two, to show the transforming pattern of political economic identity of Bangladesh. Third, how does global governance ensure development of capability in Bangladesh in terms of one's actual ability to achieve various valuable functioning as a part of living? And fourth, are the institutional decision-making processes, especially in the identity of Bangladesh, influenced by global governance? So, if we see the variables, if it is independent variable role of global governance, then the linking variable is control over the nation states, and the dependent variable is national identity. That means a state's national identity. If international policies like structural adjustment policy, that is the Millennium Development Goal, that is MDG or SDG, PRSP, the linking variable is approved by Parliament of government, and the dependent variable is policy making decision of the nation states. And if planning of global governance is independent variable, linking variable means implemented by government. That means parliament of any state, and the dependent variable may protection of socio-economic, politics, cultural identity, and ideologies may serve the opposite. So this paper is closely related to the theory of David Held and his colleagues, that is ideas of globalization transformationalism, because it expressed in transcontinental and inter-regional flows and networks of activity, interaction, and power. And Amartya Sen, the Nobel laureate economics theory of capacity expansion has made the theory of this group reach, as he says. The meaning of development is freedom. Development means to extend the freedom of different kinds of people. Welfare of the people is the center of development. Freedom brings well-being of people. Now it's time to find the findings. The decision of the state is very important in determining its own policies. Socialism was one of the 4 principles of the first constitution of independent Bangladesh. The experience of discrimination in production, investment, and distribution from the colonial rule of West Pakistan taught the independent Bangladesh to rethink. If the state takes care of protection and distribution, then there will be no discrimination in the society. For first, to ensure the equality of all, various important sectors like health, education were kept in state ownership. From the 70s, Bangladesh started to become a member of various global organizations. We needed and still need financial support, aids for economic and structural development of our country. In exchange of financial support, the country's governance system has to be reformed in the light of global governance. The main objectives of structural reform programs, Washington Consensus, etc., were to encourage privatization, free market economy, borderless competition, open border, etc. The way in which the ideology of liberalism makes the state easier for the individual in the light of liberalism bring the identity of the state into crisis in the global context. In this contemporary globalization era, all countries and units of the world are related to each other. Transformational theorists say that it is not possible to stay outside of globalization. Representatives of powerful countries are usually the policymakers of globalization or global institutions. The economy, governance, policy, interest of weak countries and the interest of powerful countries are not the same. The interests and demands of countries like Bangladesh are negotiated with the developed country in various roundtable meetings, dispute, protest, at GATT to WTO meetings are major examples of this. In 1972, the number of people living below the poverty line in Bangladesh was 50 million. After the implementation of various reforms and poverty alleviation programs, the number of people in our country is more than 70 million in 2002. During the period 1984 to 85 to 2000 to 2001, at constant prices, Bangladesh GDP grew very nearly 100%. On February 17, 1994, the World Bank and the government of Bangladesh approved a scheme called Jute Sector Adjustment Credit. Around 1,500 crores of loan were given from the World Bank under the project according to the then market rate. As a result of the specific work for which this loan was taken, 9 out of 29 state-owned jute mills were closed down. Of the remaining 20, 18 were privatized, 20,000 workers were laid off, and on June 30, 2002, the closure of the Adamji jute mill was announced. After 30 years of the jute work, the workers became unemployed, refugee, and in debt. This means that the people of Bangladesh have taken interest loans not to establish balance, but to close the balance. In a letter to the World Bank in August 1996, jute investor owners reported that their mills were in worse condition than before as a result of the reform program. They said the program firstly reduced the efficiency of private mills, second, declined the real production and exports, third, the market value of private factories also decreased, and fourth, 11 private factories reduced production capacity or temporarily closed. In the early 1980s, Bangladesh was one of the worst affected countries in the global economic crisis caused by the rise in energy prices. This policy depressed the commodity prices of developing countries and reduced the growth of exports of all goods, including manufactured goods. The value of rupee in 1980 was equal to 15.04 taka. In 1901, it was equal to 35.79 taka to $1. At present, it is equal to 126 BDT to $1. Can you imagine? As a result of the free market economy, small industries are losing competition with foreign products. The economy has become dependent on imports. Even the increased spending in the social sector does not reach the target group. In the process of global governance, nation states have gradually lost their power of self-governance. The University Grants Commission, that is UGC, has recommended withdrawal of government subsidies from public universities with loans from the World Bank in the education sector. After withdrawal of subsidy, the universities will be self-financed. These principles are determined by the global governance process. First, the school tuition fees are being increased in 3 phases from 2006 to 2026. In addition to increasing fees, borrowing from local and foreign banks is recommended in the strategy paper. In that case, a student has to take a huge loan from the bank to get admission in a public university. Economists believe that a student has to bear the burden of bank loan even after completing his education. What the UGC has said: to reduce the state subsidies to public universities is against the right to education ensured in the Bangladesh Constitution. Global powers, including the United States and European Union, are interfering in the internal affairs of Bangladesh. The US government has announced that it will deny visas to Bangladeshis who undermine democratic elections. So, the central argument of this paper is the relationship between national identity and global governance is mediated by multiple institutions. The neoliberal ideologies of globalization have complicated this. Now I'm concluding. Finally, it is reviewed that global governance plays a vital role in global governance reshaping of the socio-economic dimensions. Transformationalists support the positive aspect of global governance and oppose the negative effects. Unwarranted interference by the global institutions undermines state competence and sovereignty of nation states. Global governance brings positive changes in governance, bureaucracy, health, education, and workplaces by increasing good governance. And finally, within the framework of global governance, the nation state is transformed from a welfare state to a competitive state, that is, competition state. Nation states often undermine sovereignty to enhance their own capabilities. Thank you all for having patience to listen my word.
Next we have Dr. Raymond Kwan Sun Lau, a Hong Kong native, holds a PhD in political science from the University of Queensland, Australia. Currently serving as an assistant professor of political science at North South University, Bangladesh. He previously lectured in history at Hong Kong Baptist University. Dr. Lau, also the book reviews editor for Africa Review, displays a diverse scholarly engagement with expertise in international relations, geopolitics, responses to mass atrocities, Chinese foreign policy, and Hong Kong politics. His recently published work, Responding to Mass Atrocities in Africa, Protection First and Justice Later, solidifies his significant contributions to the field. Over to you, sir. Thank you. This podium. Thank you very much, sir.
Good afternoon. Namaste. Professors, experts, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you very much for the Interdisciplinary Institute of Human Security and Governance, especially its Executive Director, Dr. Nandini Basistha, for inviting me to be one of the guest speakers to deliver a special address in this timely and important conference on security, identity, and global governance, India and the world. And also thank you very much for your very generous introduction. I'm really glad and honored to be here today. And what I would like to share with you guys in this address today is my observation of a seemingly emerging trilateral partnership among India, Japan, and Bangladesh in the Indo-Pacific region. Perhaps let me start with a two-day meeting which took place in Akhtar, the capital of Tripura, on the 11th and 12th April this year. So this meeting, which was organized by a Northeast Indian think tank group called Asian Confluence, was attended by the Deputy Foreign Ministers of India and Bangladesh, the Chief Minister of the Indian state of Tripura, and the Japanese ambassador to India. Again, the three countries have reached a historic and landmark agreement to harness the commercial, connectivity, and capacity building potential of the Northeast region of India. So in order to scale up the multi-layer connectivity between Northeast India and Bangladesh, Japan has put into place a proposal of developing an industrial hub in Bangladesh with supply chains to the landlocked northeastern state of India, Nepal, and Bhutan. So indeed, cooperation on commerce, connectivity, and capacity building between India, Bangladesh, and Japan have continued to gather pace even before this trilateral meeting took place. Japan, for example, has approved some $1.27 billion in funding to Bangladesh for 3 infrastructure projects in March this year, including a new commercial port in the Matabari, which is probably the very first deep sea port in Bangladesh, with links to adjacent landlocked Indian states, including Tripura and the wider international markets. And also, Japan has made significant investments in Northeast India, including the water supply project in Guwahati and the Assam-Meghalaya road network. And I think what is worth mentioning here is, in this context, is that number one, so India has already been the largest recipient of Japan's overseas development assistance, ODA, since 2003. And second, Japan is actually the only country which has been allowed to invest in the Northeast India, which share borders with Bhutan, China, Myanmar, and Bangladesh, hence making Japan itself as a natural partner in this region. On the other hand, India has also taken the initiative to help Bangladesh to meet its growing energy demands by constructing a 131.5 kilometers long India-Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline, in short, the IBFP. In emphasizing on the importance of this newly inaugurated cross-border energy pipeline in March this year, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi suggested that this friendship pipeline would, in his words, will further accelerate the development of Bangladesh and will be an excellent example of increasing connectivity between the two countries. So here, if we can try to make sense of this whole picture, this operation of the IBFP, this India-Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline, can be understood as India's attempt to further enhance energy cooperation between India and Bangladesh and further strengthen the people-to-people linkages or connection between the two countries. While Japan's growing enthusiasm in making strategic investment in Bangladesh and Northeast India reflects Tokyo's efforts to strengthen cooperation in the Bay of Bengal region, under what the Japanese government called the initiative of the Big B, which stands for the Bay of Bengal Industrial Growth Belt. Yet, in the view of the closer ties of India and Japan with the United States and its allies, and also the growing rivalries between New Delhi and Tokyo with China, as well as China's growing presence in India's neighborhood and the Indian Ocean, So this trilateral partnership among India, Bangladesh, and Japan seems to be taking hold. Again, the growing ties among these three countries has the potential to change the geopolitical landscape in the Indo-Pacific. And this India, Bangladesh, Japan trilateral relationships, in my opinion, does matter for four reasons. Okay, number one, okay, the efforts of India to meet Bangladesh's growing energy demands and Japan to connect the landlocked northeastern region of India with the Bay of Bengal suggests a tendency towards what I call a security-centric approach adopted by both New Delhi and Tokyo. So in the overall relationship with Bangladesh, security has long dominated India's outlook towards Bangladesh. So with India taking an active part in contributing to Bangladesh Liberation War back in 1971, so the Indian government needs to ensure that an independent Bangladesh, which was part of Pakistan and was known as the Eastern Pakistan before 1971, remains to be friendly and not hostile to India. Okay, Japan, on the other hand, okay, being the single largest bilateral donor for India since 2003, as I mentioned earlier, and also the second largest for Bangladesh through the official development assistance since the year of 2012, is also the only country that has been allowed to make significant investment in Northeast India, as I mentioned earlier. So the development of the Multibari deep sea port in Bangladesh constitutes a dominant part of Japan's larger infrastructure development efforts to facilitate integrated development of Bangladesh and Northeast India as part of a wider Bay of Bengal community. In fact, I think as many of you may be aware of this, so during Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's visit to Japan in May this year, Japan and Bangladesh, the two countries, have agreed to upgrade their bilateral relationship to a strategic level. So as Bangladesh and other South Asian countries are, as suggested by the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, as a single economic zone. So Japan's promotion of the Bay of Bengal Northeast India industrial value chain concept in partnership with India and Bangladesh can also be understood as an important component of his new free and open Indo-Pacific plan. So taken together, India's efforts to provide Bangladesh with access to a reliable source of fuel oil would definitely help allay New Delhi's security concern, that is, the emergence of an unfriendly or even hostile Bangladesh, which would constitute a threat to India's eastern flank. Also, with the Japanese Prime Minister Kishida highlighting South Asia as an important region for his free and open Indo-Pacific plan for peace, so Japan's commitment to the development of Multibari Port in Bangladesh and the promotion of connectivity in the landlocked northeast region of India would definitely help boost Japan's diplomacy and security role in the Indo-Pacific region. Second reason. So the growing ties and cooperation among the three countries, in many ways, could be understood as a logical extension of India's neighborhood first policy and Japan's growing attention to South Asia. So as the largest country in South Asia by size and economic and military strength, India's neighborhood first policy has been the anchor point of New Delhi's foreign policy in general since its independence in 1947. So with Narendra Modi coming into power since 2014, so India has actively pursued regional governance and regional building with its neighbors, including the Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, the BBIN, the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, and the Indian Ocean Rim Association. So this regional connectivity push by Modi's government is totally in line with the Gujarat Doctrine, as spelled out by the former Indian Prime Minister Indra Kumar Gujarat in the 1990s, and is largely attributed to the ethnic, religious, and geographic linkages between India and its South Asian neighbors. And Prime Minister Modi's his aspiration for seeking a peaceful and stable neighborhood. Okay, Japan, okay, while its relations with countries in South Asia remain minimal during the Cold War period, is increasingly realizing the strategic importance of South Asia, especially its location on the sea link that connects East Asia with the Middle East. India, in particular, is perceived by Japan as a cornerstone in South Asia. For example, the India-Japan Act East Forum, okay, which was launched in 2017, does provide a platform for the two countries to identify specific projects for economic modernization of India's northeast region, including those pertaining to connectivity, developmental infrastructure, and industrial linkages. And also, during Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan back in September 2014, already India and Japan officially upgraded their bilateral relationship to what they call a special strategic and global partnership. Yet, apart from the economic cooperation between the two countries, which makes this India-Japan special strategic and global partnership especially important, is the political goodwill between New Delhi and Tokyo. As Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy under Kishida and India's Act East policy under Modi reflects a convergence of their long-term political aspirations. The two countries would definitely help driving peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region and the world. Third, India's willingness to provide grant in aid for constructing the friendship pipeline for Bangladesh, and Japan's growing enthusiasm for engaging Bangladesh and Northeast India are attempts by New Delhi and Tokyo to cultivate soft power diplomacy in their diplomatic encounter with countries in South Asia. As the leader of the world's largest democracy, so Modi's tendency to act as a soft power enthusiast since his coming into power in 2014 has been evident in his government's effort to export vaccines to many low-income countries through its Vaccine Madrid program during the COVID-19 pandemic and provide financial aid to Sri Lanka, for example. So New Delhi's friendly outreach of soft power in South Asia may help allay anxieties and worries among India's neighbors and transform India from what is used to be known as a dominant big brother to a caring older sibling. Japan, on the other hand, as Asia's largest maritime democracy, has enjoyed a positive image in both Bangladesh and India as a reliable external partner. So with Tokyo trying to further strengthen its relationship with South Asia, its efforts to harness the economic potential of South Asia by providing assistance for the development of economic infrastructure in Bangladesh and Northeast India will engender further positive perceptions in both Bangladesh and India and other countries in the region, thereby strengthening Japan's good diplomatic image further. Fourth reason. So India's effort to further contribute to enhancing the energy security of Bangladesh and Japan's intention to promote this multi-layer connectivity between Northeast India and Bangladesh are strategies employed by New Delhi and Tokyo to manage China's growing economic and military footprint across the Indo-Pacific. China's growing economic and military presence in the Indo-Pacific region, particularly its cross-border strategic infrastructure projects in the form of ports and bases, and deepening linkages with India's South Asian neighbors, including Bangladesh, has definitely worried and alarmed India, because India has traditionally viewed and perceived South Asia as its strategic backyard. So against this backdrop, India acknowledges the importance of further strengthening its efforts to expand ties with its extended neighborhood because New Delhi needs to find ways to stop the trend of its neighboring South Asian countries to reject or challenge India's primacy by playing the China card against India. And also realizing that India alone is not capable of countering China economically, New Delhi sees the need to have Japan on board as a trustworthy economic partner in the region. Right, on the other hand, again, Japan, as a country being surrounded by hostile neighbors, is well aware of China's military build-up and attempts to unilaterally change the status quo in Asia. So while Japan's vision of free and open Indo-Pacific has been successful in unifying the Western allies, okay, Tokyo definitely needs to step up its diplomacy with countries in the global south. As Prime Minister Fumio Kishida admits, China has already been going all over Africa and Latin America. As a result, Japan and arguably its Western allies risk losing the countries in the global south. And therefore, it is imperative for Tokyo to play catch-up by strengthening economic and strategic ties with the global south, especially India and other countries in South Asia. Indeed, okay, India, as a member of the Quad security grouping and Bangladesh being the second largest economy in South Asia, are especially important economic and security partners for Japan in promoting its Indo-Pacific vision. As a result, I think it is fair for us to suggest Northeast India is a key to Japan's implementation of its Indo-Pacific plan, while Bangladesh, being a regional gateway for South Asia and Southeast Asia, is crucial for Northeast India's connectivity with mainland India. So all these reasons combined made this India-Bangladesh-Japan trilateral partnership significant. Again, in many aspects, Japan, again, being the most prominent maritime democracy in Asia, and India being the largest democracy in the world, to share some common universal values such as the Buddhist tradition, democracy, open society, human rights, rule of law and market economy, as well as strategic interests. While Bangladesh, as a rising middle power, is also emerging as an important battleground for great power competition. Yet, okay, I'm going to conclude in a minute. Yet, again, while we have witnessed this special strategic and global partnership between India and Japan since 2014, and the recent established strategic partnership between Japan and Bangladesh since 2023, and the development partnership between India and Bangladesh in recent years, it does not necessarily mean there occurs a totally 100% convergence of national interest among these three countries. First, again, while both India and Japan are both alarmed with China's emergence as a global economic superpower and as a major regional military power in the region, okay, this so-called China factor does not resonate with Bangladesh. Okay, this is largely because, number one, okay, Bangladesh has no border or territorial disputes with China, not like Japan or India. And second, China is not only Bangladesh's top trading partner, but also the largest supplier of military equipment. And third, okay, Bangladesh in many ways has already been incorporated into China's Belt and Road Initiative, right, since it joined in 2016. Of course, I'm not saying Bangladesh cannot be considered as a trustworthy partner, but perhaps both India and China have to work harder in order to exert their influence continuously over Bangladesh, and hopefully, again, make Bangladesh being less reliant on China, both economically and militarily. In this sense, the fact that Japan is going to provide patrol boats to Bangladesh, again, making Dhaka the second beneficiary of defense equipment under Japan's new military aid program, in my opinion, is the right direction, which demonstrates Japan's efforts to strengthen its defense ties or cooperation with Bangladesh. Okay, last but not least, still in a broad sense, this emerging trilateral partnership among India, Japan, and Bangladesh has still, in our opinion, has the potential to reshape the geopolitical landscape in the Indo-Pacific region. And these growing ties and cooperation among New Delhi, Tokyo, and Dhaka can set the tone for, number one, rectifying the somewhat negative perception of India among the South Asian neighbors, Second, counterbalancing China's growing influence in the region. And third, revitalizing the role of India as the only security manager in South Asia, and Japan as a reliable economic and security partner in the Indo-Pacific. So this is basically what I would like to share for today's address, and thank you very much for your attention, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
That is there in the air are basically stopped by these trees, and so the respiratory system gets some kind of a relief. It, of course, because there are so many trees, you know that there would be shade and the temperature would be lower, almost lower by 3 to 4 degrees, and it adds humidity in the air. So Miyawaki forests are very beneficial for an urban area, and they can have tremendous impact as far as air quality is concerned. Now, I just wanted to bring your attention to one more thing, that if you see the local or the modern way in which the gardens are being made, or in which the residential
Roy, Dr. Nandini, Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj, Professor Benu Kumar De, Professor Dr. Saroj Verma. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and enlighten your presence. A special thanks to organizing committee, teaching and non-teaching staff for their unflinching support and conclusions. Volunteers, I would like to thank you also, Satyam Sundaram, Amit Sharma, Priyanka, Ruhi Ansari, Pooja Mandal, Deepak Sharma, Sanaya Mishra, Niharika Singh, Harshita, Divyata and Neha Pawar. Also, I would like to thank our anchors, Harshita Sharma, Anushila Jana, Garima, Nishika Vasisht, Ananya, and Lusang Devi. I would like to give special thanks to the most hardworking person, Akib Niladri Bhomik, the director of the IIHSG, Dr. Nandini Basistha, of course. And after that, I also would like to thank myself also. I have also contributed very much for this conference from past 4 months. So our heartfelt thanks to our students for their active participation, our gifting partner, the Bamboo Bay, for sponsoring for this conference, and all our dignitaries. With this warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of this inaugural session, and you all are requested to proceed for lunch, which is in guest house, in the IAPA guest house, and inaugural session will be ongoing at 1 p.m. Sorry, technical session will already be, na? Okay, online session will be continue, and all of you who are presented here are requested to proceed for the lunch at IAPA guest house. Thank you.
We will start our first technical session offline at 1 sharp. So please, who are having presentation and who are chair, please come at 1 here, okay? And volunteers, please guide them to go to the IIPA hostel dining hall.